Hey, welcome to the January 2024 forecast. As is typical, I will say things like, I can't believe it's January of 2024 already. Well, actually, today it's not. If you're watching it live, it's December 30th of 2023, but we're getting pretty close in there. So let's take a look at January, and I'll give the forecast, and I'll answer any questions that may come up later. And easy questions are really appreciated. Okay, so let's start off with where we were as opposed to where we are and where we're going. We've been through a very Neptunian period of time where not only the planet Neptune but Mercury have been giving us quite a bit of issues, quite a bit of activity. So nebulousness, a little bit of difficulty getting things moving. I think that since the astrological storm and the earthly storm that was October, we've been in many respects sort of spinning our wheels. It's been, again, as a Neptunian Piscean time for us individually. If you just like, if you chill, if you just sort of like take it as it comes, one day at a time type of thing, it's going to be pretty okay. If you're trying to get stuff done, though, you're spinning your wheels. There's fog and there's mud. That's very Neptune Pisces type of thing. A lot of fog, a lot of mud. It's fine as long as you're not trying to do too much. And what we're going to see in January is that the fog is going to lift a little bit and the mud is going to dry out a little bit. And so it should be easier to make progress. We are still going to be in Neptunian Piscean times for a very, very long period of time, though. We have Neptune at the end of Pisces for a couple more years, really rallying the energy of Pisces. We have Saturn in Pisces doing his best to sort of clean up whatever he can. And next year, we're going to have the nodes on the Pisces Virgo axis. So it's not like Neptunian times are going to disappear. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to get, in a couple of months, we're going to get to the Sun and Mercury and Venus will be in Pisces. So, there's going to be a lot of this to come. But we do get a shift in the energy. Okay, so we had in December, we had Neptune stationing and making lots of aspects. We had Mercury being out of bounds. Mercury was out of bounds. And towards the end of November, he squared Neptune, and at the full moon on November 27th. And he was out of bounds where planets act erratically. So this is affecting communication, transportation, commerce, trying to get any sort of deal, getting any paperwork done, has been putting a tremendous drag on that and, messing things up. Then he came back in bounds on December 13th. And the first thing that he did was go retrograde. And then retrograde, he again squares Neptune on December 27th, and essentially then just sort of stops right there, square to Neptune. This is really hard time to get stuff done. That's the takeaway message from all of this. And so he stations to go direct on the 1st of January. Now, remember, mercurial mishaps multiply right around the stations. Okay, that's the time that we're most likely to see things go a little bit wrong, lost luggage and stuff like that. This is most likely to happen right around, let's say, December 31st, December 30th, 31st, to do January 2nd or so. But because he's stationing so close to Neptune, he doesn't really get clear until January 8th. So you could almost look at it as being like an extra week of Mercury retrograde. So I would hold off on, buying the electronics, or I would be very careful with communication and so on, all the way through right around the new moon on January 11th. I'd say, get a couple of days past the new moon on January 11th before you really start, trying to get stuff on the ground. On the other hand, we begin the year with Jupiter on December 30th, stationing to go direct. Jupiter has been retrograde since October, And this is definitely sort of pulled things back a little bit. It's another one of those things that kind of pulls the energy back in. He's stationing to go direct at 5 degrees of Taurus, which is the exact same degree as the October 28th full moon lunar eclipse. So if you had something going on towards the end of October, you may find that as we get to the end of December, beginning of January, it gets moving again, or you get the next installment. You may have to wait a little bit for things to actually get moving, but you kind of get the next installment, the next thing that comes up. You'll notice that we had the full moon lunar eclipse on October 28th. We had the full moon on November 27th. We have the next full moon, again, square Mercury, on the 27th. And January is going to have a big 27th as well. It's more numerology kind of thing, I suppose, than it is an astrology thing. But the 27th of the month has been really hot lately. That's right around 5 degrees of any sign. So if you have stuff at 5 degrees of any sign, again, that's where Jupiter's stationing. You have stuff at 5 degrees, this is a big change period for you, all the way from October through at least the end of January. Although things may have been building towards a change more than actually changing over the last few months. And that's the theme. This is the thing you have to kind of take with you. The last few months have been a sort of slow down period, not like it's been inactive, but you can't make much progress. You put out a lot of effort, you don't get very far. Again, spinning your wheels. Okay, so gradually lifts. We have Jupiter going direct, Mercury is direct, going to get past the Neptune square on the 8th. Let's say the new moon, always a good time for beginnings, on January 11th is kind of like the point where we can say, okay, things are starting to move forward a little bit. Mercury doesn't get out of the shadow as retrograde for about another week, but enough is enough, right? We gotta draw the line someplace. Okay. That new moon on the 11th is at 20 degrees of Capricorn. It is very close, but not exact, but it's very close to the Saturn and Pluto conjunction, the Saturn, Pluto, and everybody else conjunction of 2020. There's a resonance with it. It's not a redo, but there's a resonance with 2020 at that new moon. And as we come forward, it's let's say with all of the things that I've said so far, and then going forward, let's say that we can hope for its do-over would be a good way to look at it. All right, the next celestial event I want to point out, we have a couple of other things and then some details to fill in, but the next big one is the full moon, and the full moon is on the 25th, and it is in the sign of Leo. It is at 5 degrees of Leo, and the Leo full moon, it's a Thursday, I believe it's a Thursday. Leo full moon is always the party moon of the year. This is a great time to get out. I know it's Thursday. It'll the energy will stay Friday, Saturday. Probably Friday's the better day to get out if you're only doing Friday, Saturday. It's a party moon. It's a fun moon. It's great for creativity, but it's good for getting out, socializing, having some fun and stuff like that. It's the end of January. You gotta keep yourself occupied somehow or another. So keep that in mind. Now, this is an extra special charged full moon. Again, only this time it's not Mercury, Neptune that had their fingerprints on this one. The sun is going to be squared to Jupiter, right? So we take that sort of full moon, excitement, Leo, fun, and we square Jupiter, right? So it's going to be extra. It's a little bit more. Some egos will get a little inflated around this time for sure. We could see that happening. But generally speaking, let's just look at it as an optimistic thing for you and me. Some people are going to have a little bit of difficulty with this. They're going to get full of themselves. I don't think that it's a gigantic risk. And then on the 27th, Uranus stations to go direct. Now, Uranus stations, let's say from the 25th through like the 28th or 29th, Uranus stations, independence, do your own thing. You want to, you want to rebel against anything that you see as being a constraint against you. You're looking for freedom. right? This is the energy. So we have the fun of the Leo full moon, a little extra square to Jupiter. Additionally, Uranus stationing, pumping us all up. It's going to be a time, again, some people are going to have difficulty handling this live wire volatile energy. But for most of us, this ought to be a pretty fun time. It ought to be pretty good. Do your own thing as you get to this full moon, as you get to that weekend there, the 25th through the 27th, 28th. Do your own thing. If you get other people on the same page with you, if you can, go out and hang out with friends and stuff like that, and if you it would be a fun time to play some games or something like that. Whatever you're into, that's terrific. But if you can't get people on the same page with you, go do your own thing. Right? Uranus encourages you to do your own thing, and in its own way, the sun, by that point in time in Aquarius, will also be encouraging you to do your own thing. Keep that in mind. Something to look forward to towards the end of the month, if nothing else. First half of the month, we're working to get rid of the cobwebs and the fog. Second half of the month, we've got activity going on. Let's back up a little bit, because I want to do the new and the full moon. Let's back up a little bit and talk about Mars. Mars on the 4th goes into Capricorn. This is pretty good. It helps us to direct our energy. This is not a multitasking energy. This is a tasking energy. You pick a task and you go for it. Mars is going to spend about 6 weeks in the sign. Use that time productively. It's another indication that we can start getting going with things, that we can start be busy with things. Right as the year begins, Mars is at the very last degrees of Sagittarius, where some folks are going to go off on crusade. Some folks are going to be, it's the sign of beliefs. So people are going to act Mars on their beliefs. You know what I'm saying? You're going to give people some space to blow hard and stuff like that. So especially we'll see that at the collective level, where you always see that kind of thing. Mars in Capricorn is one thing. Now, on the 20th, we have this really interesting, and I say interesting, I mean, we'll see, thing going on. We have the Sun conjunct Pluto, and the Sun is going to conjunct Pluto at 29 degrees, 59 minutes of Capricorn, the very last degree and very last minute of Capricorn. The entire Pluto in Capricorn, going back to 2008, is kind of triggered at this moment. Last degree, last minute. So keep an eye, see what happens right around the 19th, 20th, because then the Sun comes into Aquarius and Pluto comes in together. Now, I know last year Pluto went into Aquarius, but if you think about the Sun and Pluto going into Aquarius on the same day, having just met up in Capricorn, this really looks to be like the real beginning of Pluto in Aquarius. So we already know some of the Pluto in Aquarius themes. We have, for example, AI, right? Artificial intelligence is a big Pluto and Aquarius theme. As soon as Pluto went into Aquarius last March, that became like a hot topic. People are still talking about it. We're going to talk about it more. Unions, the rise of unions, the reemergence of unions, which we haven't heard from decades. There being strikes, and this has not been a prominent thing for a long time. But more generally, the Pluto in Aquarius energy it's the power in the masses. After having Pluto in Capricorn, it's like who are the power brokers? We spent since 2008 looking at who are the power brokers and what are they doing and who's in charge. Pluto goes into Aquarius, it's like the collective is in charge. And that's good or bad according to who's running the collective and who's there. I have a video out on Pluto and Aquarius. If you can search the channel, you can go look at that and get the gist of it. But this is going to be a big signal moment. And again, Pluto goes into Aquarius, the Sun goes into Aquarius. We have the full moon, and then Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, stations all within a week. We're getting a big burst of Aquarian energy at the end of the month. So it's collective. It's about ideals. It's not exactly beliefs. But it's about our ideals. It's about our principles. And what's really best for the collective becomes the big theme. Huge shift from earlier in the month. All right, let's see. I just want to see who's saying things over here. Good morning from Central Washington and from London and from Southern California, where it's very wet. Wow, I saw the water going over the wall over there. That was like scary. Yes, Pluto in Aquarius is democracy, but yeah, you gotta you gotta get there. You gotta get there. We'll see what happens. So, I mean, hopefully we'll see a little bit of a resurge in democratic values after the Pluto at the end of Capricorn concentration of power in the power broker folks. But let's see how things play out. We know what the themes are going to be. As for how we're going to handle it, we have to see. Now, bringing things a little bit more down to the local level, Venus gets into the Sagittarian party late. She entered on December 29th. She's going to go through the sign. First thing she does on January 1st, actually, is a square to Saturn. Venus in Sagittarius square to Saturn in Pisces. There's a little bit of this kind of like in relationship and socializing, like what's happening. You're looking for the bottom line. But with Mercury stationing and the Jupiter thing and the Neptune thing, I would say you don't really know. You don't really know. So there's a sort of serious feel to things, maybe in terms of relationship, like in a positive way too. It's not like a negative thing necessarily. It could be a very positive thing. But I would say you just sort of don't know. And then relationship stuff gets really, really popping right around the 12th. On the 12th, we have the Sun and Juno, so partnership asteroid Juno and the Sun, and Pallas Athene, the truth teller, are all in aspect to each other as Juno stations to retrograde. So the feel here is sort of like if there's a serious discussion to be had about relationship and you need to get your message across, I'm thinking that period like the 11th and 12th seems to be the period. That's like the hot point for relationship stuff during the course of January. 4 days later, on the 16th, Venus will square Juno. And that's an interesting sort of aspect there because these two relationship planets, Venus being sort of what you want and what you value, and Juno being more about partnership, commitment, and they're on very, very different pages. And Juno is in Virgo, right? So is being rather sober about relationship commitment, and Venus is in Sagittarius, where a little bit more fun, a little bit more openness, a little bit more playfulness is called for. And so there's a little bit of a push-pull between these two relationship planets that shows up around mid-month. You have your serious discussion on the 11th or the 12th, and then you see what happens. You see what happens on the 16th. But again, it's sort of like an opportunity to clear the air about things at mid-month in terms of relationship. There's other stuff going on this month, obviously, which we'll talk about during the weekly forecasts. But that is kind of the overview. Again, the first half of the month we have clearing that Neptunian fog. After the new moon on the 11th, we're sort of going forward a little bit more easily. And then when we get to the last part of the month, when we get to the 20th and beyond, then things really shift over more towards the collective, the breath of fresh air, but also to, I think that a little bit more in the way of stirring activity. So we'll have to see. Let's see. Teresa from Sagittarius rising. Yeah, that's all right. That's good. It's if you have Sag rising, then you got to be happy that Jupiter is going direct. right? Because then you're ruled by Jupiter. So that period from October till the end of December when he's retrograde is a little bit hard because your ruling planet is backing up in the sky. It doesn't ruin things, but it doesn't help things to flow all that easily. So now that he's going direct, again, right around mid-month, you'll be feeling the energy as he pushes forward. And that's a good energy for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. And those of you that have Sagittarius moons as well will take a big kick out of that. Let's see, who else? 5 placements in Aquarius. Okay, so, well, almost happy your birthday. It depends where you are in Aquarius, especially with Pluto being in there. I mean, you'll feel the energy as soon as Pluto gets into the sign, even if you're at 29 and he's not going to get there until 2040 something. You still feel it when he's in the sign, but it's not really much of an issue unless he's pretty close. So those of you that have placements early in Aquarius, let's say birthdays someplace around January 20th, 21st, 22nd, that type of thing, 23rd, 24th, 25th, you know what I'm saying, will be feeling it much more than those who are a little bit later in the Aquarian era. Let's see. Me conjunct Saturn and Mars. 216. No, so you're like at the end of Aquarius. You got a little bit of time. Oh, Teresa, yeah, no, it's right on you. You're feeling that. Boom. My moon is at Leo 1 degree. Can't say I'm looking forward to the Pluto transit. I've had Pluto opposite my moon. And I have to tell you that I'm not a doom and gloom astrologer. I'm not a worry about things kind of guy. But yeah, I was trepidatious about having Pluto opposite my moon. My moon is in Cancer, where it's strong, which is good. But yeah, I think that you have to look at house placements and things like that as well to see where things are going. But yeah, I wouldn't say that you like look forward to that like it's going to be great, but plenty of people, and I researched it pretty well. Plenty of people get by fine with Pluto opposite their moon. There are changes and things like that. A lot of it's internal, by the way. A lot of the Pluto moon stuff goes on internally. A lot of it is clearing out of emotional stuff and really, allow me to be a little cliche here, releasing emotional baggage. You get a lot of that with Pluto opposite your moon. Pluto in Aquarius opposite your Leo moon. Leo moon likes to feel special, and Pluto in Aquarius is about the masses, and it's a time when being special and being elite is not necessarily going to be like the premier value. So that could be a little bit of a thing. It's like, you want to feel special, and Pluto's going, well, but you're just one of the crowd. Let's see. Aquarius moon 29 degrees. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. It'll be 2042 before you have to worry about anything there. Leo moon in the 5th house. Yeah. I mean, or is Pluto in your 5th house? Because if the Leo moon is in your 5th house, it could really be like what you do to be recognized, what you do to be special, what you do to have that, recognition, and your creativity is likely to shift and change with Pluto coming from your 11th house in Aquarius. If it's the other way around, if Pluto's coming into your 5th house, then it's the same type of thing. But I think that participating in the greater collective, and not falling in with the crowd type of thing, but participating in the greater collective is probably the way to go. So my chart ruler is Saturn. I'm a little nervous about what to expect in the new year. Well, I mean, there's no reason not to always be a little bit nervous about what to expect in the new year, but I think that Capricorn rising, you guys have a lot of endurance. Saturn is in Pisces, where maybe it's like a mixed bag for you, but I don't think there's anything really tremendously awful going on for Capricorn rising. So be happy with that. Pluto midheaven in Virgo, 0 degrees. Wow. Wow. I had a 0 degree Virgo chart yesterday to deal with. Moon in the 11th house in Cancer. Yeah, that's a nice placement. You'll resonate nicely, actually. Well, Pluto's past your moon, but you'll resonate a little bit well. You'll resonate a little bit well with Pluto in Aquarius. That ought to feel kind of okay for you. Cancer moon in the 11th house is like you're looking for your, oh boy, this is the day of cliches for Armand, right? You're looking for your tribe, right? You know, you're looking for the folks that you can be organically connected to, Cancer moon, but based on principle, like not just the people that you live with or you grew up with or they're in your neighborhood or it's your culture. It's the people that you really share the same ideals with, the same that you're on the same page with. And once you find that group, hopefully you found it, but once you find that group, then you really resonate very, very well. All right. Let's see. If there's no more questions, I think we'll wrap it up. Oh, my birthday is 1/8. Early January is always intense for me. Yeah, I mean, when the sun, when you get back to your birthday time, I mean, first of all, it's your birthday, and it's, when you're 8 or 9, that might be really good. But as you start, adding a few decades to that, it gets a little bit more serious. But and this sun, I mean, my teacher John Marcusella described it as the sun eclipses your sun. You feel a little eclipsed around your birthday. We try to make a big party. It's going to be good and stuff like that. It's a little hard though. It's a little difficult right around your birthday. And anybody's been paying attention lately, the beginning of January has been a very, very intense time. Right? We've had a lot of stuff going out through January, because we had the Saturn Pluto conjunction and Jupiter and Ceres all in Capricorn in 2020, along with the Sun and Mercury. We had all of this energy crammed into uh, Capricorn, and so it's been a fairly rough period of time for Capricorn. It's gonna shift, as things always do. Please hit the like button on the way out. Oh, I agree. I agree. Happy New Year. Yes, Happy New Year, Heather. And okay, so I hope you subscribe and watch the weekly forecast where we'll unpack these things a little bit more. There's a lot of other stuff going on in January. I think, I wanted to give you some highlights. Also, on January 3rd, and I mean it this time, my fingers aren't crossed. On January 3rd, I will put out the forecast for 2024. You and I know it's kind of a highlight reel as opposed to being a forecast, because there's just too many things that are going to go on in the year. But it'll give a highlight reel. Wednesday. Yes, it is Wednesday. Wednesday for sure. I mean, maybe Thursday. No, Wednesday. Wednesday. And I would just remind you too that if it's the beginning of the year, and it's a good time to stop by armanddiaz.com, and if you want to arrange to get yourself a reading for the year ahead and see what's going on, if it's your birthday or something like that, email me, as opposed to hitting a thing, and we, say you saw it on YouTube, and we can arrange a discount for you, and that would be a good way to start the year, for both of us. All right. All right. Take care. Take care. Yeah, hit that like button. Hit the like button on your way out. Have a happy 2024, and I will see you real soon. Bye.